And men are nothing but success objects. We are valued by what we can do. We are competency objects. That's all we're measured on, is our capability. I think happiness is the easiest way to destroy your own capability because you're too busy doing dumb.
So Andrew Tate was asked if he's happy. He goes on a rant explaining what makes someone valuable, and he completely misses the mark here. And I want to address this. Let's get right into it.
At this moment in time, are you like happy?
I wouldn't say I'm unhappy in any way. And I would say I'm happy, yes, but the whole idea of happiness in and of itself is skewed in the Western world, especially in the masculine frame, because there's so many men who are waking up complaining about the fact they're not happy, which is the strangest mindset I think a man can have. Because as a man, how happy you are has absolutely nothing to do with how you live your life and how you perform and what you need to do. How happy you are is a pointless measurement. So why do you even measure it at all? I would argue that as long as you're not distraught, as long as someone you love didn't die that day, heaven forbid that happens often, let's say a couple of times a decade, besides those days, you should be happy enough to go to the gym and perform and make your money and do what you need to do. Who gives it if you're particularly smiley or not? I think it's quite binary. This whole idea of how happy am I is the easiest way for a man to destroy his life. If you're chasing happiness, you're only going to do hedonistic garbage and achieve absolutely nothing important. If you wake up and say, I don't care how happy I am, I want to be proud of myself and I want to make other people proud of me, so I have to do all these things irregardless of how I feel, you're going to have a fantastic life. If you wake up and say, I want to be happy, you're going to chase silly hoes, drugs, and alcohol.
But that's temporary happiness, right?
Well, but how else can you get instant happiness unless it's temporary? To get long-term happiness is something that's only going to come from dedication and hard work, which requires short-term suffering. It's just delayed. So if you're dedicating yourself and working hard for the future happiness, but especially considering the fact that most people are never happy with what they get and you always want more, your life just becomes hard work and dedication and struggle and suffering. And that's what you just exist within. And you don't operate under the paradigm of happy or sad. To me, it's quite binary. It's not a scale of how happy am I. It's just, has something terrible happened today? Am I distraught? No, then I'm happy. It's almost like there's no such thing as cold. It's just an absence of heat. In space, there's no cold. There's just heat or there's no heat. Well, if there's...
I think it's funny because he has a lot of like pretty good lessons in this. Like I said, I don't agree with hardly anything he says, but he sprinkles in a little bit of truth and then has the wrong conclusion. Like, yes, you cannot base your circumstances, and off of your circumstances, that's what makes you happy. Like, at the end of the day, those things fleet, but do you have joy? Do you have peace? Do you have love in your life? That's the main thing. And he's going to get into like what gives someone purpose, and I think this is where it can become dangerous. Or he gets into also what gives someone value, and I think that is also dangerous as well.
Despair, heaven forbid a family member dies. If there's no despair, then there's only happiness left. I was happy in jail. I'm happy here. I'm happy in Romania. I'm happy if they arrest me again. I'm happy all the time because unless something truly devastating happens, it's the only frame I operate under. But to me, happiness isn't the giddish, smiling, look at me, I'm happy. That's for children and women. And as a man, truthfully, you get your contentment. I wouldn't even say happiness, but you achieve your contentment through making others happy. I feel content when my children are happy. I feel content when I make my woman happy. I get more from giving than receiving. That's why Christmas is set up the way it is and dad never gets anything. We give. We go to work. We struggle. We make money. We suffer so others can be happy because of us. It's not our job to be happy ourselves. You show me a man who wakes up and says he wants to be happy himself. I'll show you because that's not what you're supposed to do. As a man, you're supposed to wake up and say, all right, my life might be, I'm going to suffer. I may be miserable, but every single person I love is going to be happy instead. So you live externally, you live through them, you give them the happiness.
So happiness is just a bonus.
Well,
because you can still take care of the wife and the kids and like be jacked and be happy.
Of course, you can be, but it's not the be all and end all of the masculine imperative. Truthfully, if I had to choose between being happy or being competent, if I had to choose between being me with my influence and my competency, but with all of my stress and headache, or being happy as a nobody sitting in the park doing mushrooms, staring at the clouds like a dumb, I would choose to be me, clearly, because I did. So I think as a man, unless you're competent and capable, no, but let's actually analyze this. Unless you're competent and capable as a man, you're not even prepared. You can't even love anything unless you're competent and capable as a man.
That was funny.
No.
No, you're right though.
No, but this is important because this is why, you know, when girls have those loser dudes who are like saying, I love you so much, I love you. And the girl doesn't give it that the loser dude's telling her that he loves her. Why is that? Because the female is smart enough to understand on an intrinsic level that as a man, if you have no capability to give her things, if you have no competence, if you have no skills or use case, that your love is completely useless. It's like if you have a brother beside you who says he loves you with all his heart, but he's a complete pussy and he can't fight and you get attacked, what's his love worth?
True.
What's his love worth? So as a man, if you want to say, I love my wife, I
true.
love my children, I love my friends, I love the world.
He's acting like everyone's in a war, though. That's not what your brother is worth because he could do something for you. That's the problem. What he's getting at is like your worth is based off of what you have to offer, but that's not necessarily true. Your worth is based off of you being made in the image of God and you have an intrinsic value. Your worth is that you are a human in of itself, not because of the things you do, because when you do things, or you can't always do things. That's the thing.
You can only have a love that is valuable if you're competent and you're capable, and you're only going to have that if you suffer. So if you want to have the ability to love other people, if I want to be a person who can wake up and realize I truly love my children, I truly love my woman, then the only way I can do that is to suffer enough to be a man whose love has value. If I wake up and say, I truly love the people I care about, but I want to be happy, so I'm going to go and sit in the field and take mushrooms and be a dumbass, well, then my love is completely valueless. Because when they call me and say, there's a problem, Andrew, you love me, fix it, I'm going to say, I can't. And men are nothing but success objects. We are valued by what we can do. We are competency objects. Females are sex objects.
That's crazy. This man has issues. I agree. Andrew Coatesworth says, if we merit our own actions as righteous, then we would build righteousness of our own accord. However, grace by faith alone, not by works. Exactly. Like that. Like, I get what he's saying is you need to get out there, stop being lazy, and, you know, protect, be someone who makes a difference. But that can't be what makes you valuable and have worth and have purpose at the end of the day, because when you don't measure up to those things, then you will be in so much depression and self-loathing, feeling like you're worthless. Like, I get it, it's good to strive for things and work hard and be consistent and be disciplined each and every day. Like, I'm all for being disciplined and doing things even though you don't feel like doing it. I think he's explaining how the world sees value. That's a good point, Jimmy. Like, that's how the world sees value, but that's not how God sees value.
What can he do? What is he good at? That's all we're measured on, is our capability. I think happiness is the easiest way to destroy your own capability because you're too busy doing dumb. So when you ask me that question, the reason I gave such a long answer is because how happy I am doesn't cross my mind. I wake up and I have things to do. I have bills to pay. There's millions to make. I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to go home, and then I need to train. And a whole bunch of other stuff to do. Then I have to fix everybody else's problems. Then I got to talk to my children. Everyone's life is great but mine. Mine's been long, stressful, and busy. And I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do it again. There's no time for me to be happy in any of this equation ever. And if I choose happiness, if I decide to be happy, then I can't love the people I love properly, because then I become useless.
Romans 3:23 through 25. For everyone has sinned. We all fall short of God's glorious standards. Yet God in his grace freely makes us right in his sight. He did this through Christ Jesus when he freed us from the penalty for our sins. For God presented Jesus as the sacrifice for sin. People are made right with God when they believe that Jesus sacrificed his life, shedding his blood. The sacrifice shows that God was being fair when he held back and did not punish those who sinned in times past. So guys, I encourage you all to trust in Jesus and know that he's good. If you have not ever decided to follow Jesus, I encourage you to do that today. And if, guys, you want to support me and become a member, I would absolutely love it and appreciate it if you did. That would mean the world.